Okay, hello everyone. This is a video demonstration slash installation guide for my project, which is a random deck generator for chaoticrecode.com. And what this does is create a text file that you can import into the game, and you'll have a random deck with random creatures, battle gear, cards, music, locations. So the first part of this video will be like a quick installation guide and a demonstration, and then I might go over to how it actually works in a little bit more detail. So first things first, go to this GitHub page that I'll link in the description and follow the installation steps. So step 1, go to this release and download this source code. So use whatever WinRAR, 7-zip, whatever you need. So once you have this folder, all you need to do is open it into your desktop or someplace else on your computer, and all this folder contains is a .exe and a JSON file. So this JSON file is what contains all of the card information that I thought would be necessary to create this project. And I go off of this to basically generate a random deck. And yeah, it looks like a long list, but it's mostly just the same stuff over and over and over again. So the most important thing about this is that it lists which cards are added into Recode and which cards are not. So the generator won't add any cards that are not in Recode. Now the thing with this is the missing cards may not all be correctly listed in this. So if you ever run into a problem where you're importing a deck and it's not valid because a card is missing, let me know and I will update this. But all you need to do is have these two files in the same folder. They could even be on your desktop, and all you have to do is run the executable. Now, one thing about this is, for some reason, Windows Defender flags this as a virus. This hasn't happened to me before, but when I download it from GitHub, it somehow thinks it's a virus now. So this is what it looks like. It says it's a Trojan virus. That is not what it is. You can check the main branch in this GitHub page, and you can see the source code for yourself. It's just a C++ file. That's all it is. So you just have to make sure that whatever antivirus you have, you allow it to run this executable. And then all you have to do is run it, and it will generate a text file on your desktop. And all you have to do to use that as the deck is import it as an untapped deck, and there you go. So let's look at what we got here. Okay, this looks better than most times a random deck is generated, because believe it or not, there's a lot of horrible creatures that really are not useful in Chaotic. Yep, that's a random location deck. This seems like a half decent random deck, actually. All these creatures kinda share air as an element. Music, yeah, those are music. So yeah, and the last thing that you don't want to forget is to save this as an unrestricted deck, because this random deck generator does not yet, at least, take into account cards that are restricted. So that would be banned in the standard list. And that's basically it. So So yeah, if you run into any problems with importing a deck, please message me on Discord with that deck file, or if you encounter other problems, and I'll try to help out. The rest of this, I'll just go over kind of the more specific parts of this project. So these are the cards that I found to be listed actually in Chaotic Recode. So not all cards are added, but a majority of them are. And this is basically kind of a general count of those, and this may not be totally accurate. I was first going off the missing.txt file from the Chaotic Discord, which is pinned somewhere there, but it actually is also missing at least 3 cards that I've found since then that are not added into into Recode. So yeah, if you run into any cards that are not added to it, just let me know and I'll update. So the general idea of randomizing this deck is, I'll just take it in these 5 steps. So you have random creatures, and you have to check that that creature is, if that creature is loyal, if it's unique, and if it has like a duplicate base version of that card. So for example, you have Headmaster Ankija and Headmaster Ankija Seeker of the Art. So you can have 2 of these, but you can only have 1 of those. So if you add 1 of these first, then you cannot have 1 of those, but you can still have 2 of these. Yeah, it sounds complicated, but it's really not. So I'm 90% sure that the way that I check for the rules while adding creatures is working okay. So there shouldn't be any problems where you have a loyal creature and a creature that's not in that tribe for that deck, for example, or something that breaks the unique rule. For attacks, the attacks are totally random, and they should, in most cases, have the 20 build point limit. If you're unlucky and the randomizer just picks a bunch of 0 build point attacks 20 times in a row, then I guess you'll just have a deck with 0 build points. But that's really unlikely to happen. I haven't seen anything below 20. And again, this also checks if it'll go over 20. So if you're at like 18 build points, it'll only add attack cards with 2 build points or less, so it won't break the import. So locations, those are a lot simpler. It's just a check for unique cards and for cards that are the same base version, like Riverlands, for example. It has 3 different versions of Riverlands, but you can only have 2 copies of Riverlands, no matter what version it is. Random battle gear, also pretty simple. There's the unique check, there's the duplicate check, like for the 2 Fleric shards, the base Fleric shard and the Fleric shard Relic of the Past, as an example. And it has hard-coded checks for the legendary cards that are in the game, like Dread Tread and Horde Saber. So the part that I had trouble with is picking random music. Currently, as it is, it's completely random, so it doesn't take into account what tribes you have. So the problem that comes with that is basically you can have a tribe of, say, only overworlders, but then the music could be only from other tribes, so you won't be able to cast any music. I could update this in a way that it only adds music from tribes that have already been chosen for you in the creatures, which would allow you to at least have a better chance of casting music. But you still wouldn't be able to cast all of them probably, since not all creatures have music counters. So I'll quickly go into some balancing issues that I could probably attempt to mitigate, but generally there are like three main things. The first of which is if the first creature that is randomly added to your deck is loyal, say Takinam the Shadow Knight or Kaor, then the rest of the creatures also have to match that tribe, and this kind of creates a less random outcome for your deck, of course, and it'll make your deck better in a sense, since, say, most underworld creatures share the fire element, so it'll be a good chance that all your creatures will have fire and that they'll work better together in an army than a totally random mixed deck of creatures that probably have no comparable attributes. So I don't know what kind of solutions really I could do about this. I could ban loyal cards, but then that kind of takes away the fun of having like a really good card that you could use in your deck. One other thing about creature selection is Marillions are really not too commonly picked because a lot of them are loyal. So yeah, their chances of getting picked into an army is a lot smaller, unfortunately. I already talked about the music problem. The last thing I would say is the attacks could be too random. The problem with this is that the randomly chosen attacks could be so random that you can barely deal any damage with them. For example, you could have like 5 build point attacks that really don't synergize well with your random army, and then you'll have to have like 15 0 build point attacks that deal next to no damage. So I don't know, it could be a boring game if you try to have a battle with that. But some solutions I could do is try to track elements with selected creatures and attacks. I can try limiting the amount of high build point attack cards that are added to the deck, or I could just leave it and you guys could just deal with it, I guess, and maybe that'll be part of the fun. But yeah, this is pretty much the end of the video. And yeah, I hope you try this out and let me know what you think.